Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to build our first Android application of this course. And in this application, we will learn to choose images from gallery or capture images using camera inside Android. And we are building this application so that later we can pass these images to our machine learning models and get the results. So now let's start building this application. And to build this application, the first step is opening Android Studio. And here you will click on this new project button. And after that, you need to select empty views activity here. Then press next. And here firstly you can set the name of your project, like I will gonna name it as image picker. After that, you can select the location of your project here, like you can select the directory where this project will be created. And then the language for our project should be Kotlin. And after that, our minimum SDK version should be 24. So it means that our application will be able to run on Android 7 and onwards. And finally, here make sure that Kotlin DSL is selected so that we will be on the same page. And after selecting these things, click finish and our new Android Studio project will be created. And there you can see the project is created and right now the Gradle sync is in progress. So in few seconds our project will be ready and then we are going to start building our image picker application. So now the Gradle sync is completed and our Android Studio project is ready. So now we are firstly going to install this application inside an emulator and look at this starter application. And after that we are going to start by creating the GUI for our image picker application. So to install this application inside an emulator, in the side pane you can see this section device manager. So you can click here and you will find the Android emulator which we created earlier. So now click on the run button, or what you can do is to select the Android emulator here, which is this Pixel 8, and click on this run button and our application will be installed inside that emulator inside this pane. So now let's wait for the application to be installed here. So now the application is installed inside the simulator and you can see this white screen with this text hello world in the center. So that is the default GUI present inside our new Android Studio project. And now we are going to start building the GUI for our image picker application. So as inside this application we want to choose images from gallery or capture images using camera, and then we want to display those images inside our application. So in the GUI, we are firstly going to add an image view where we are going to display the selected or captured image. And below that, we are going to add a button. And when user will gonna click on that button, we are going to launch the gallery so that he can select the image. And if user will gonna long click on that button, we are going to launch the camera so that user can capture an image. And once user will gonna choose the image or he will gonna capture the image will be displayed here inside this image view. And later we are going to pass these images to our machine learning models and show the results to the user on screen. So now let's start by creating the GUI. So we are going to open this activity main.xml and it contains the GUI. So there you can see right now it contains this text view where we are displaying this hello world text. So now we are going to delete this text view because we don't need it now. And after that we are going to drag an image view from here and put it here in our screen. And after that we can select a temporary image, like we are going to select this avatar. And there you can see this image view is added. So after adding the image view, we are going to set its position. So as for now, it is present inside constraint layout. So here to position a view inside constraint layout, we need to set its constraint. So firstly, we are going to set the top of this image view to the top of screen. And after that, let's set the left and the right constraint as well. And now if you want, you can select the width and the height of image as well. Like for now, we are going to select the width equal to 350 dp. And then we are going to set the equal height here as well. So 350 dp and that's it. So there you can see the image view which we added. And after adding the image view, the next thing which we need is a button. So here you can see this button. So you can simply drag it and put it below this image view. And after putting it, we can set it to the bottom of this image view. So here set the top constraint of this button to the bottom of image view. And after doing that, let's set the left constraint to the left of screen and the right constraint to the right of screen. And after putting this button here, we are going to change its text. So here, search for text property. And there you can see this text property, and the text of this button will be choose /capture. And that's it. So now this button is indicating that it will be used for choosing or capturing the image. So after adding these two views inside our GUI, let's select both of these, and after that right click, and now we are going to create a vertical chain here. So click on this create vertical chain, and now you can see they are equally positioned on screen. So now we have built a very simple GUI for our application that user will gonna click on this button and we are going to open the gallery. And from the gallery, user will gonna select the image and we are going to display the selected image here. So now after positioning the views here, what we can do is to change the default image of this image view. And we are going to display an icon here which will gonna indicate that the selected image will be displayed here. So what you can do is to go to this project, and here you can expand this app folder, and then you can right click on res and then add a new vector assets. And here you can click on this clip art and it will gonna show you the countless icons which you can add inside our application. So for now we are looking for an image related icon, so I will type image and it will gonna show us these icons. So here let's select this image icon for now and then press OK. And after that, if you want to change the color of this icon, you can also do that. And then here you can select the size. So for now, let's select the size of 128 dp. And after that, click next and then finish, and this icon will be added. And now inside our image view, we are going to display this image or this icon. So here select this image view and then search for this source property. And there you can see two source compads. And inside both of these, we are going to select this baseline image which we just added. Similarly, we are going to make the change here. And now you can see our image icon is being displayed here. And now after doing that, the GUI setup for our application is complete. And now inside our main activity, we are going to write the code. So the first thing which we need to do is to declare and initialize these GUI components which we added inside our XML file. So as we added an image view, so here we are going to declare an image view variable. So latent var, and I am going to name it as imgv, and then the data type would be image view. And after that, we are going to initialize it inside our own create. But before doing that, let's declare our button as well. So latent var, and we are going to name this button as btn, and the data type would be button. So now after declaring them here inside our own create, we are going to initialize them. So firstly this imgv or image view, and to initialize it we are going to call this find view by id, and then we are going to pass the id of image view. So the id of our image view is image view 2. Similarly we are going to initialize our button, so btn, and after that call this find view by id, and then the ID of our button is button. And you can check these IDs by selecting the view here, and after that you can see this ID property. So now after initializing these views, we are going to set an on-click listener on our button, because we want that when user will gonna click on this button, we are going to launch the gallery so that user can choose an image. So here we are going to set an on-click listener on our button, so btn.setOnClickListener. And there you can see this on-click listener, so select it and it will be added. So now inside these two curly braces, whatever code we are going to write, it will be executed once user will gonna click on that button. And we are going to add the functionality for choosing or capturing the image. But before doing that, let's run our application, and after that we are going to add the code for choosing images inside Android. So now our application is installed and you can see the GUI of our application. And now inside our next lecture, we are going to start the process for choosing images inside Android. So see you in the next lecture. Want to become an Android machine learning and AI expert? Then subscribe to this channel and get 92% off coupons for our Android machine learning and AI courses. Links are given in the description. Welcome to this lecture. Inside this lecture, we are going to add the code for choosing images inside our application. So how we are going to do that? So basically inside our application, we want to implement the functionality that when user will gonna click on this button, the gallery will be opened and he can select the image. And once he will gonna select the image, the selected image will be displayed here inside this image view. So that is our goal. So to achieve that, whenever user will gonna click on this button, we want to launch the gallery activity. And then from that gallery activity, user can select an image. So to launch that gallery activity inside our application, we need to firstly register for an activity result launcher. And in Android, an activity result launcher is used to get results from an activity. And in our case, we want to launch the gallery activity and then get selected image from that activity. So to get that selected image, we need to register for an activity result launcher. And to register for that activity result launcher, we need to call this registerForActivityResult method. So here when you will type registerForActivityResult, you will see this method. So simply add this method, and then inside this method you are going to specify a parameter of name contract. And using this contract, we are going to specify that from which type of activity we want to get the results. And to specify that thing, we are going to use activity result contract clause, and then we are going to use its pick visual media method. So as in our case, we want to pick images from gallery, so the relevant method will be pick visual media. So you can find this method here and add it. And after adding this method here, add these small quotations, and that's it. So here we are registering for an activity, and the type of activity is pick visual media. And now to get results from that activity, we need to add a callback. So add curly braces here. And now inside these curly braces or inside this callback, we will gonna receive the URI of the selected image. So here we are going to add a parameter with the name URI, and then add this lambda expression, and that's it. So now in short words, when the gallery activity will be launched and the user will gonna select the image, then we are going to get the selected image URI in the form of this URI variable. And now the next thing is launching the activity which will gonna show the images to the user, and user will gonna select an image. So to launch this activity, we are going to use the object returned by this method. So here we are going to assign the result to an object, and we can name this variable like pick media. And after that, we are going to use this pick media for launching the activity which will gonna show the gallery to the user. And if you will move your cursor here, you can read that the launcher that can be used to start the activity. So we are going to use this pick media to launch the activity, and we are going to launch that gallery activity inside this onClick listener. So basically when the user will gonna click on this button, we want to launch that gallery. And to do that, you can see the suggestion from the smart feature of Android Studio that we are going to call this pickmedia.launch method. And to implement this suggestion, I will simply going to press enter, and this code will be added automatically. So here when user will gonna click on this button, we are going to call this pickmedia.launch method. And inside this method, we are going to pass the type of activity which we want to launch. And the type which we want to launch is pick visual media request. And this pick visual media request will gonna show the gallery activity to user. So here we need to add the import for this class. So simply click on this import button and the import will be added. And then inside this method, we are going to pass that which type of media we want to select from gallery. Like in our case, we specified the type to image only. So it means that we want to launch the gallery, but we only want to show images to the user so that user can select an image. And if you will gonna remove this dot and then add it again, you can see the other options like this video only and image and video. So if you want to pick either images or video, then you can select this option, and if you only want to pick videos, then you can also select this option. But in our case, we only want to select the images, so we pass this image only here. So now at this point, if we are going to install the application and you are going to click on this button, then the gallery will be opened. And there you can select the image, and once you will gonna select the image, this callback will be executed, and here we are going to get the URI of the image. So now to test the working of our application, that either upon clicking on this button the gallery is being launched or not, we can quickly install the application again and test its behavior. And after that we are also going to show the selected image inside our image view. So there you can see our application is installed again, so let's click on this button. And there you can see as soon as we clicked on that button, we can see the gallery images here. Similarly, if you want to view the albums, so you can click on the albums button and you can see all available albums. But in our case, we will go inside photos and then click on any image, like I will select this image. And there you can see once I clicked on that image, the view is gone, and the reason is now that image is selected and this block will be executed, and here we will get the URI of that image. So now after getting the URI, the next step is displaying that image inside this image view, and to do that we are going to use this image view variable, and then we are going to call this set image URI. So add this code and that's it. So now whenever user will gonna select the image, we are going to show that image inside our image view. But here we need to add an if condition to check that if this URI is null or not. Because if user have launched an activity upon clicking on this button and then he did not selected any image, then this URI will gonna contain null. So here it's important to check that whether this URI is null or not before using this URI object. So we are going to check that if this URI is not null, only in that case we are going to call this set image URI. Otherwise we are not going to do anything. So now after doing that, let's run our application again. So now you can see our application is opened again. So let's click on this button. And now you can see this activity. So let's select this image. And there you can see as soon as I selected the image, the selected image is being displayed inside our application. Similarly, let's select some different image like this watermelon image, and there you can see the selected image is being displayed here. So it means that our application is working correctly and we are able to select images from gallery inside our application. Want to become an Android machine learning and AI expert? Then subscribe to this channel and get 92% off coupons for our Android machine learning and AI courses. Links are given in the description. So now after choosing images from gallery, the next thing is capturing images using camera inside our application. So now we are going to start implementing that part. So basically inside our application we want that when user click on that button, then the gallery will be open and he can select the image. And we have implemented that part. And now we want that when user long press on this button, then the camera will be opened and he can capture an image. And once he will gonna capture the image, the captured image will be displayed here inside this image view. And to do that, the first thing is adding an on long click listener on our button. So here we are going to use this btn and we are going to call this set on long click listener. So there you can see this on long click listener, so simply select it and it will be added. And then this on long click listener will gonna return a boolean variable, so we are going to return true here, and that's it. So now whenever you will gonna long click on this button, then this block will be executed, and here we can write the code for opening the camera and capturing the image. So how we are going to do that thing? So to achieve that, or to launch the camera activity where user can capture the image, the process is similar to choosing images, although there are some differences and we are also going to handle them. So the first step of doing this thing is registering for an activity result. So similar to our choosing images, we are going to call this registerForActivityResult method here. And after that, inside this method, we are going to specify the contract or the type of activity. And to do that, we are going to use this activity result contracts. And now we are going to specify the type equal to take picture. So as for now, we want to capture images using camera, so here the type will be take picture. And after that we are going to add the callback here, which will be executed once user have captured that image. But now inside this callback we are not going to get the URI of the captured image, and there is a specific reason for it, and we are also going to handle it. But for now, after calling this method, similar to our choosing images, we are going to assign the result to a variable. So here we are going to create this variable and name it take picture. And after that we are going to assign the result to it. And then inside this onClick listener we are going to use this take picture for launching the camera activity. So here we are going to call this take picture.launch method, and then inside this method we are going to specify a parameter, and that parameter is actually the URI of the image. So what does that mean? So it means that if we want to launch the camera activity from our application so that we can capture an image, then during launching that activity we need to specify or pass the URI where the captured image will be stored. So basically inside this launch method we are going to pass a URI variable, and then inside that URI variable the captured image will be stored. So here we are going to firstly declare a URI variable above. So below this button let's declare a latent URI variable, and we are going to name this variable as image URI. So I will gonna rename it image URI. And after that the data type of this variable is URI, so simply import this class. And now inside this launch method we are going to pass this image URI, and that's it. So now when the user will gonna long click on this method, we are going to call this takePicture.launch method and pass this image URI. And upon click on this launch method, the camera will be visible here, and once user will gonna capture the image inside that activity, the captured image will be stored inside this image URI variable. And after that inside this callback we can show that captured image to the user on screen. And to do that we can use the code which is present here. So you can simply copy this code and then put it inside this registerForActivityResult. But here we are going to use our image URI variable, so simply select it and then also pass it here. And that's it. So now when the camera activity will be launched, user will gonna capture the image, and once he will gonna capture the image, this callback will be executed and we are going to show the captured image inside our image view. But here the process of launching that camera activity and then capturing that image is not that simple. We have to do some additional steps as well. And the first step is we need to firstly initialize this image URI variable. So basically while launching this activity, when we are passing this image URI, this URI is pointing to the location where the captured image will be stored. But for now we have simply declared this image URI variable and we did not initialize it. But now we are going to initialize this image URI variable and then pass it here. And once we are going to pass it, then the camera activity will gonna store our captured image at that particular location where this image URI is pointing. So now to initialize this image URI variable, we are going to create a function here, and we are going to name this function create image URI. And after that in the body of this function we are going to initialize our URI variable. So now inside this method to initialize our URI, we are firstly going to create a file object, and this file object will be for storing the image which will be captured. So as the captured image is actually an image file, so to store that image file we need a file object. So here we are going to declare an object and we are going to name it image, and after that the data type of this object is file. And now inside this files constructor we are going to pass the directory where that file will be created and then the name of the file. So to specify the directory we are going to use application context.files directory, and then we pass the name of the file to cameraphoto.png. Similarly if you want you can select a different name here. So now after creating this file object we need to get the URI for that file, and then we need to return that URI. So basically to initialize our image URI variable we are going to call this create image URI method inside our own create. So here above our take picture we are going to initialize our image URI variable, and to do that we are going to call this createImageURI method. So this method should return an object of type URI. And now inside this method we are going to return a URI object. And to do that we are going to use a class here called file provider. So basically file provider is subclass of content provider, and in Android content provider is used to transfer data between two applications securely. And in our case we want to capture images using the camera application, and then we want to get that captured image inside our application. So basically the data will be transferred from camera application to our application, and we are going to do that using a subclass of content provider called file provider. So here to get the URI we are going to use getURIForFile method of this file provider. So simply add this method here, and then inside this method we are going to pass few parameters, and the first one is the application context. So simply pass our application context, and after that it has added two other things. So the second thing which we are going to pass is the authority, and this is actually a unique string, and in our case we are going to pass the package name of our application which is com.example, and then we are going to check our package name which is com.example.imagepicker1. So we are going to pass imagepicker1 here, and after that add this file provider. So this is a unique string which we need to pass in the authority. And then the third thing is the file object for which we want to get the URI. So this method will gonna return that URI, and we are going to assign that URI to our image URI variable. So now when inside this takePicture.launch method we are going to pass this URI, it is actually pointing to this file object which we created. And now when the camera application will gonna capture the image, it will gonna store that captured image on a location which is specified by this image URI. So now here at this point if we will try to run our application and then long press, we will get some error, and there is a specific reason for it, and we are going to cover it inside our next lecture. But for now let's simply run our application and test the behavior. So there you can see when I try to install our application it is not launching, and the reason for this thing is inside our application we are registering for this activity result where the type of activity is take picture. But inside our application we have to add some code inside our Android manifest so that we can get the data from camera application inside our application, and we are going to do that inside our next lecture. But for now we have completed the code for capturing images using camera. So now we have to do some configurations, and then we are going to test our application. Want to become an Android machine learning and AI expert? Then subscribe to this channel and get 92% off coupons for our Android machine learning and AI courses. Links are given in the description. So now we are getting some errors inside our application, and the reason is we want to use file provider inside our application, and for that purpose we need to do some configurations. But why we need to do these configurations for our application? So to understand that, let's understand the background working of our application. So whenever we install an application inside an Android device, there is a space allocated to that application, and that space is called the private space of that application. So in that private space, the data of that application will be stored, and no other application can access the data stored in that application. Like if we have installed our application on a device, then a private space will be allocated to our application. And now as per our functionality, we want to capture an image using camera application, and then we want to get that captured image inside our application. So basically to achieve that, what we are doing is creating a file in the private space of our application, and then we are passing URI of that file to our camera application, and camera application is writing the image on that particular URI. So basically we are giving access to camera application inside our private space. And to do this thing we need file provider or content provider. as content provider is used to transfer data between two applications. So in our case, we want to get captured image inside our application. So we are using subclass of content provider called file provider. And now to tell camera application about that access, that we are giving him access to store captured image at that particular location, we need to do some configurations inside our Android manifest file. So now let's do that. So we need to firstly open our Android manifest file. So here you can expand this folder and open this Android manifest file. And then here, before the closing of application tag, add a provider tag. And when we add a provider tag, then we need to specify the name and the authority for that provider. Like here, we are firstly going to add the name for this provider. So here simply add the name property first. And then in the name of this provider, we are going to pass our file provider class. So here when you will type file, you can see the path of this class. So simply add it. And after that, the second thing which we need to specify inside this provider is the authorities. So simply add this Android authority tag, and here this authority will be a unique string, and we have specified a similar authority while getting the URI. So there you can see inside this get URI for file, we specified this authority, and now we need to specify the same authority inside our Android manifest. So here we are going to add our package name, which is com.example.imagepicker1, and then we are going to add this file provider. So basically this authority is specifying the location inside our application private space where camera application will gonna write the data. And to specify that location, we are passing the package name of our application and then specifying this file provider. And after that, the third thing which we need to pass is a parameter called exported, and we are going to pass the value false here. And we are passing this parameter to let other applications know that this particular component which we are adding inside our application is only for the camera application, and we don't want other applications to access that component or access that location and write anything there. So only the application to which we are going to give permission can write on that particular location which we specified using authorities. And after that, the fourth parameter which we are going to pass is grant URI permissions. So as we pass URI to camera application using which camera application will gonna write the data, so we need to specify this grant URI permissions to true. And now we can close this provider tag. And now inside this provider tag, we need to add a metadata tag, and then inside this metadata tag, we are going to specify the folder inside our private space where camera application will gonna write the data. So using this authority, we are specifying the location inside our private space. But now at that particular location, we need to specify the folder name where camera application will gonna write the data. And to do that, we are going to add this metadata tag. So press enter and it will be added. So here we are firstly specifying the name here, which is file provider path. And then we are passing this resource parameter, and here we are passing a file which is present inside XML folder. So basically in the XML folder of our application, we need to create a file with the name paths.xml. And then inside this paths file, we need to specify the folder name. And to create this path file, you can simply click here, create XML resource file. And then you can specify the name paths here. Now press OK. And this file will be created. And to check this file, you can expand this res folder, and now you can see there is an XML folder, and inside this XML folder there is this paths.xml. And now inside this file we need to specify the folder name where we want camera application to write that data. So here to specify that folder name, we are going to add a file path tag. So here add this file's path. And then we need to specify the name for the folder here, and then the path for the folder. So you can specify any name here, like we are going to specify the folder name to camera photos. And after that, you need to specify the path here. So we are going to create this folder at the root directory. So we are simply going to pass dot here. And after doing that, we are going to close this tag, and that's it. So after making this change, you can simply install the application and our application will gonna work correctly. So it means that we will be able to capture images inside our application and display them on screen to the user. So now let's quickly install the application and test it, and after that we are going to review the code that we have written. So let's install our application. So now the application is installed again, so let's long press on this button. And after that you can see something is launching, and that is the device camera. So this is the camera preview for Android emulator. And if you are running this application on your real device, then the real camera of your device will be opened. And here let's capture an image and then press this tick button. And after that you can see the captured image is being displayed inside our application. So it means that our application is working correctly. Want to become an Android machine learning and AI expert? Then subscribe to this channel and get 92% off coupons for our Android machine learning and AI courses. Links are given in the description. So now after testing the application, let's quickly repeat the process so that everything is clear for us. So from our application, we are launching camera application, and inside that camera application, user is capturing the image. And then we are getting that captured image inside our application and showing it to the user on screen. So to achieve that, inside our application we have added a long click listener, so that whenever user is long clicking on this button, we want to launch the camera. And to do that, we have created this take picture object, and then we are launching our camera application. And while launching it, we are passing the image URI, and it is indicating the location where the captured image will be stored. And we have created this image URI variable above, and then we initialized it inside this create image URI variable. So basically, while initializing this image URI, we specified the name of the image to which this URI is pointing. So now after passing this URI to our camera application, when the camera application will gonna capture the image, it will gonna store that captured image on a location specified by this image URI variable. And to give camera application the permission to write at that particular location which this image URI is indicating, we have added some code inside our Android manifest. So here we have added a file provider, and this file provider is indicating the location inside our private space where camera application will gonna write the data. So it is indicating the location in the private space, and then we are specifying the folder inside our private space using this path.xml file. And then inside that particular folder, the name of the file is specified using this file object. So hopefully you are getting the point that inside our private space, at this particular location, inside this particular folder, and in this particular file, the captured image will be stored. And to achieve that, we are using file provider, and it is a subclass of content provider which is used to pass data between different applications. And in our case, we want to pass the data from camera application to our application, and that data is captured image. So hopefully you get the idea or the complex concept behind capturing images using camera and then displaying it inside our application in Android.